Well, hello and welcome. We are grateful and glad to spend some time together today. My name is Matthew Wood. I'm Senior Director of FinTech AI here at Tavant, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Kayla Eames, our Product Manager of the TOUCHLESS platform. Today, we'll be walking you through TOUCHLESS AI. Our intent is for you to gain a sense of, one, how it works, and two, the value it generates. So before we dive in, let's just go through a few housekeeping items. The session is being recorded, and you'll receive a copy after the webinar. We've reserved time at the end for questions, and we'll address as many as we can. It'd be great to have more than time available. We always will follow up with all the follow-up materials, the answers to the questions we can't get to. And then polls will pop up throughout the session. Please take a moment to respond to those polls. And lastly, this session runs about 45 minutes total. We've designed it to move quickly, so stay with us. All right, let's get into it. Now, today's webinar is called Intelligent Mortgages with Touchless AI. Today, we're going to show you what an intelligent mortgage looks like. Intelligent intake, more intelligent files, more intelligent decisions, and more intelligent use of your team's time. In the next while, we're going to answer 3 specific questions we hear from operations, we hear from finance, we hear from technology leaders across the industry. So question 1, how do you automate loan production process while actually increasing quality? Question 2, how do you dramatically improve underwriter pull-through? Our clients are seeing up to 6 times improvement, and we're going to show you exactly how. And question 3, how do you drive real cost out of the mortgage origination? Today, the cost to originate is north of $11,000 per loan. Our clients are typically taking $4,000 to $6,000 off that number with touchless. So quality, throughput, cost. These are the 3 questions. Everything you see today is going to map back to them. Now let me set the stage for Kayla and let me set the stage for what Kayla is about to show us. Tavant, TOUCHLESS by Tavant is an AI-powered platform built specifically for mortgage. It's designed to automate the most labor-intensive, repetitive parts of the loan production process, from the moment a lead enters the pipeline all the way through underwriting and decisioning. We're going to come back to these 3 questions. First is automation that increases quality. This one matters because too often in our industry, automation has meant moving faster while pushing errors downstream. Touchless is engineered the opposite way. The AI just doesn't speed up work. The AI pulls error and inconsistency out of the file at intake. So what reaches your underwriter is cleaner, more complete, and more auditable than what your team is producing today. So it's quality at speed is the thing to remember here. Second is underwriter pull-through. For nearly every lender we work with, the underwriter capacity significantly constrains loan volume. Touchless lifts that ceiling. We have clients today that are running up to 6 times the underwriting throughput per full-time employee. PRMI, one of our clients, has publicly reported a 75% efficiency improvement in their underwriting workflow with touchless. Now, just a quick comment here. Gains like these are operationally profound. It means you're operating in a whole new way, a whole different way. It's not just a matter of incrementally going faster, incrementally going better. What's happening is how you operate has changed the definition. And so in the case of intelligent mortgages, what changes are your ability to gather the correct data up front, being able to clean and glean that data so it's appropriately placed into workflow, and you've eliminated as far as possible the iterations between requests and response. The whole goal here is to give underwriting one clean file up front the first time. Now, the third question we've talked about is cost per loan. We know that loans are expensive to produce, expensive to operate. Our clients are typically driving $4,000 to $6,000 of that cost out of every loan file. And so how do you do it? You do it through automated quality, through throughput gains, and through reduced rework. That's real money against your P&L. One last concept here. Touchless meets you where you're at. We're not asking you to rip and replace your loan origination system, whether you're on Encompass or a proprietary LOS or Empower or somewhere in between. Touchless integrates with your stack. We build around your environment, not the other way around. Quality, throughput, cost. Those are the 3 outcomes. Those are 3 outcomes, what our clients are experiencing today, and what you're about to see is exactly how we deliver them. Now, before we jump into the demo, I have one last slide to talk about. Now, what you're seeing on the screen here is the typical process flow from, across the origination lifecycle. And I want to just stop here and talk about and point out that at the beginning, intelligence resides at intake. How do we bring data in differently? How do we bring data in so it's more accurate and more complete? How do we make sure that the data that's handed down the rest of the workflow is prepared for the rest of the workflow? The part 1 of the demo is going to focus on intelligent intake. Part two of our demo is going to focus on intelligent underwriting and all the parts and pieces that are responsible for intelligent underwriting. One last thing to say is that we want to touch about our friend Maya. Maya is an AI mortgage agent. We're also going to see that in part two. So Kayla, please take away part one. Let's see intelligent intake.
Thank you so much, Matthew. So I'm excited that you have all joined us today so you can see how touchless helps team members work smarter, faster, and with less risk. What I'm showing you here is our touchless dashboard. This is the platform where your user can log in and view the loan file within our platform. So you'll notice that we are agnostic to all LOS and POS. And what this means, whether you use Encompass, Empower, Byte, Lending QB, no matter what LOS it is, we are able to integrate with that system. We utilize APIs and webhooks so your team members can work efficiently. On the pipeline in Touchless, users have multiple ways that they can find their loans, including searching for them by any of the characteristics. They can also come over to the functionality to see recent loans. So they don't have to memorize loans they were recently in. They can simply navigate and click the arrow to jump right into their loan file. Before we go further, I want to show you one quick feature about usability for Touchless. And this is for those of you who get a little tired after lunch, maybe a headache, and that screen's a little too bright. At any point in time, as many times a day as you want, you can actually click an arrow on the top right side to toggle back and forth between a dark theme. So you can work in a light mode or a dark mode. It doesn't change the data, just the way it's displayed. For this demo, I'm going to show you in light theme, or light mode. So here we're seeing our loan details, and there is a loan summary displayed that provides some basic information about our loan file, including the loan number, the term and rate, our loan type and purpose and occupancy, along with our property type, purchase price, loan amount, and even appraised value. And right above that, you'll notice the milestone that the loan is currently in and the LOS is displayed here for the user. This helps them to be able to work intelligently within the touchless platform. And if you've used other LOSs, or well, this is not other LOS, this is on top of the LOS, but you'll notice the difference in speed between touchless and many of the LOSs out there on the market because they have so many users in them, so many business rules and hard stops, their speed might not be equivalent to what your users can work in here in touchless. We also have information about our borrower and their FICO displayed, along with the LOS, DTI. So you can actually click and see the calculations on how the LOS calculated the DTI, along with touchless calculated DTI. So that way, if there's a difference because someone's maybe played with some ratios in the LOS and hasn't updated it yet, you'll see that it's caught here in touchless. You also have your LTV ratios, along with your subject property address and the ability to click one button and see them displayed in Google. So Google will come up for Google Maps automatically with the subject property address, along with Zillow. So if your team member needs to check some information online real quick, there's no more need to open up a separate web browser, type in a URL, and then the subject property address. It's there in a split second. You'll also see information about days to close and if we have any documents that are about to expire, and then how many days left on the lock expiration. To the right, you see Maya. We're going to save that for the second half of the demo, the very end, because Maya's a showstopper. So we want to give her full credit. Right above Maya, you'll notice a loan summary for our task. So these represent each of the different analysis modules that Touchless has ran, including their corresponding percentages of completion. We're going to go through those in the second half of the webinar today. So for right now, I want to focus on these four buttons at the top. The first being the URLA, which provides the ability for your team member to see on a separate web browser, so they could pull that web browser to another monitor. So as they review all of the touchless analysis modules and all the conditions that the AI automatically generated on their behalf, they can fact check to the URLA at any point in time. And we have a couple different ways to navigate the URLA. Your user can use the scroll functionality And they have a convenient button located on the bottom right that will allow them to navigate back to the top. But we also provide functionality on the left-hand side for them to click and easily go to whatever section of the URLA that they need to in a split second. So quick, easy navigation for your user. And again, they can keep this open the whole time on their other monitor. One thing I want to bring up is that the URLA is always up to date with the LOS. Even if your team member needs to make a change here in Touchless, when they save, it syncs back to the LOS. So your LOS will always remain your system of record, but any changes made here in Touchless will always keep that up to date. And then any changes made in the LOS will be updated back to Touchless as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next button, which is the documents. This is a mirror image of the document repository of your LOS. So whatever documents are in there, you're going to see them here. Now, for those users who use our document analysis, and I highly recommend it, Touchless will do all the document classification and extraction for you. So what that means is whether you get individual documents one at a time, or maybe the borrower sends a group of documents all at one time and then some stragglers here and there, Touchless can go in and classify and extract those and label them back to your LOS in the exact format that you want them in. So if you have certain document placeholders or folder names that you want them to go to, Touchless is going to do that for you. Think of all the time savings not having to have a setup person or a file opener or even a processor have to go through and manually do that stuff. It's done for them. So we're going to take a look just at a couple of documents real quick so you can see what those look like in Touchless. And then in the later part of the demo, you'll get to see them again within their respective analysis modules. So the very first one here says needs review, and you'll notice it has 2 asterisks at the front. That's so it can stay in an alphabetical order for quick and easy use. So it's always at the top, should there be anything in this folder. What that is it's going to display any images that Touchless could not identify as part of the loan file. So whether it's your kid's first day of school picture, it accidentally got uploaded, or some cute little puppies, or maybe it's a tax return for your sister because you helped her to file her taxes this year or prepare them, and you accidentally uploaded hers instead of your own as the borrower. Not a problem. Touchless is going to move those to a folder for your team member to be able to quickly see and know that they need to maneuver that document to its respective location. So outside of some cute little puppies, we'll have all the other documents that you would expect to see that have been received thus far. So assets, looks like we have a couple bank statements. Looks like they're both just one is an updated version. So we can come in and click if we want to open this and make it larger. We can see it's the May bank statement for Bank of America. If we wanted to see other documents, we can certainly click on those. I apologize, I overclicked too quick and went right back. So we'll come right back in, but it shows you how quickly we can maneuver. We also have our gift letter. So on the gift letter, we can see that we've got, looks like $10,000 with no expectation of repayment. Fantastic. So all the other documents are here. It looks like we've got letters of explanation, our credit report. We've got our decision analysis or fin decision report, which I look forward to showing you in the second half of this session. And then our tax returns, all kinds of documents. So I'm going to skip over Task Manager for one brief second because I want to show you our events log. It ties to the documents because it is a chronological history of how this loan file has transpired, the different milestones, analysis, and even document labeling and classification within Touchless. So it starts with most recent, and anytime anything new has been received, either a change to, let's say, the URLA, or a new document has come in, Touchless will analyze it. So we can see today at 9:15, we received a Bank of America statement and asset analysis started. It was completed by 9:15. So that means within just one brief minute, we received a document, pulled it in from the LOS, classified, extracted it, pushed it back to the LOS, and ran all of the analysis, generating conditions based upon what was provided in that document So that particular analysis statement. So I look forward to showing you that analysis here shortly. One final thing before we get to that is our task manager. Our task manager provides one unified location that if the underwriter didn't want to go through each of the analysis modules to see respective conditions, they could come in here and see all of the conditions that were generated by the AI. Now, this does include the decision analysis conditions too, which we'll talk about more shortly. So your user within any analysis module or the task manager can search using various filters to filter out the type of information they're looking for. When you see the word open, that means it's a condition that has not yet been either cleared or waived by the user or auto-cleared by Touchless, which is a great functionality that Touchless offers. So things like a purchase contract or a flood certificate, for example, will be auto-cleared upon receipt. Now, don't worry. Let's say that the flood certificate revealed that the property is located in a flood zone, then a condition will be generated letting the underwriter know. So all it's doing is taking away the stare and compare and keeping the user focused on what's most important so they can make their decision. The AI is not making the decision for them, it's just empowering them to do it quicker. And then finally, this filter allows for searching by particular borrower pairs. So when you have those instances, you have 4 or 5 borrowers on a file, now you can easily search through their conditions. And then you always have the ability to search task. So I could come in and just start typing a search. As well, if I saw something that just really wasn't here, I expected to see a condition, I could manually add that if I wanted to. But rest assured, we partner with you as the lender to capture all of your conditions and do a mapping of those from the out of the box standard conditions to your specific conditions so your users don't get any surprises. And with that, we're going to take a break and to have some discussion real quick before we jump in the second half of the analysis.
I don't know how many questions I'll put to you, Kayla, but maybe one or two. Um, so what did we see so far? We saw intelligent intake, and that simply is the ability to gather data, ingest the documents, classify them, extract the data, and place the data into the workflow. What's really happening is you're preparing for a decision, like Kayla said earlier, as opposed to doing the work of all the prep to make a decision. You're ready. All of the data is being marshaled and prepared for a decision. That's one of the key differences of what's happening with intelligence versus lack of intelligence. What we're going to see in part two is going to be in the intelligent underwriting. We touched on the analysis modules. So as you know, there's 5 of them. Let's see if I can remember them. You have decision, you have credit, collateral, assets, income. I think I got them.
You got it. Great job, Matthew.
They appreciate it any day. But the whole point of taking time to name them is to understand those modules can exist and stand on their own feet. They can run in parallel to each other. They can execute their own rules in their own time. So it's no longer a linear effort. It's now a parallel effort to bring a file to the point of submit to underwriting, because that's really the goal here: is to submit one file one time to underwriting and have that be approved or disapproved. The goal is to avoid all the resubmissions and the churn that comes from it. So let's jump into part 2 of our demo. We're going to look at the intelligent underwriting.
Sounds great. Okay, so now that we're getting into the analysis modules, there are a couple different ways we can access them. We can quickly access them and jump straight into the deep dive by clicking the analysis module name in the task summary. Or we can come here to the top where we see those names again. And when we click them, it's going to open up a quick summary for your users just to get a little taste of what they're going to find when they do the deep dive for that module. So for example, here we can see decision, Fannie Mae displayed on the left and Freddie Mac on the right. For this conventional loan file, there is a dual AUS or side-by-side comparison called decision analysis. So we can always see everything that Fannie Mae had regarding this loan displayed in the left-hand side when we look and Freddie Mac on the right. We can also see a border around Fannie Mae here and a blue check mark. Along with here, it's saying selected AUS as DU. So that's just giving us a quick summary. So let's go ahead and do the deep
Can
dive.
I,
And
can
I
I
can,
say one thing
oh,
here?
yes, of
Sorry,
course.
sorry to break your stride, but so
No, you're
this is really a really interesting moment in terms of the use of AI when you're looking at
good.
Fannie and Freddie underwriting, because it's coming
Hmm.
back to us in a very plain text, natural language. It's not coming back in terms of a structured XML. So you have to now interpret those files, and then you
Hmm.
have to apply the policy of those files. So there's a notion here that's been created called policy as code, the ability to use policies as if they were code in the system, as if they were rules in the system. And this is kind of the earliest example of policy at code that we have, because we implemented decision quite a few years ago. But now we're able to do that with investor guidelines. We're able to do that with any sort of guideline that comes in, whether internal or external. And so this provides the ability, again, to generate the kind of file at the end of the day for underwriting that doesn't need to be reworked, that you can make decisions up front and along the way that clean the file for later. All right, Kayla, thank you.
Hmm. That was actually great input. And Matthew, to your point, this module was created years ago. And not to date myself, but when I was still on the mortgage side, a little bit ago, I actually was at a lender who was an adopter. We called it dual AUS. And it was a fantastic addition to our daily lives to be able to quickly see what conditions up front. So it helped the loan officers to structure the file before even going to underwriting, but it also let the LOA or processor, whoever was working on that loan file, supporting their loan officer, get a better idea of what conditions were going to be coming out. So they had a little bit of a comprehensive needs list. Now, with what I'm going to show you in all the analysis modules, they're going to have a much better needs list up front. They'll even know undisclosed liabilities, large deposits, some really cool things that you're going to get to see in a moment. But I will tell you, when I came to Tavant and found out all of these other analysis modules existed, I was heartbroken that myself and pure underwriters didn't have the benefit of that. We could have gotten so many more loans done. And I will tell you, if you're an
Yeah.
underwriter on this call, or if you're the leader of an underwriter and you have team members who just don't have enough time in their day, they can't learn about some crazy bond products, so they have to send them to corporate underwriting, or they don't have time to do the test cases to get their LAP and SAR. Touchless will empower that because it allows them to work more efficiently, have more hours in their day. So now, not only can they learn more, but then they can take on new loan products and actually be able to be more contributing to the organization by being able to do loans that they never had an opportunity to do before. So let's jump in and see what decision analysis looks like. So right here on the top right-hand side, we have a link to the analysis report. And in any analysis module, you will have a link to the corresponding report for that module. Like collateral, you'll see the appraisal. Credit, you'll see the credit report, for example. So this is our decision analysis report. Just a friendly reminder that everything Fannie Mae is going to be displayed on this left-hand side, and everything Freddie Mac related will be displayed on the right-hand side. So starting with the number of submissions and the number of findings, eligibility, of course, very important. Then you can see things like value acceptance. Did we receive a PIW or an ACE? Do we have rep and warrants? Then we have the ability to navigate by scrolling, or of course, as you've seen in the ERLA, we like to provide convenient links to help your users work faster. So now let's say I am the loan officer and I've run decision analysis up front, haven't submitted my file to processing, most certainly not to underwriting yet. And my borrower told me, I can only give you 1 year of tax returns. Well, guess what? I can simply click tax returns and I can see, oh, okay, I see Fannie Mae will allow me to have 1 year tax returns on this loan, but Freddie Mac is requiring two. Right out the box, I got some valuable insights on how to structure this loan. So now I don't have to wait for an underwriter to look at it. I can just go ahead and move along. I can check reserves, credit, GSE eligibility, for example, or I can navigate straight to my GSE findings and start looking for side-by-side comparisons in those findings. When you see no records found, it just means that particular GSE didn't have a corresponding to the other GSE. Because as you can imagine, Fannie and Freddie don't align on everything perfectly. But where they do, you'll see those findings displayed side by side. So as we navigate through a few of these, you'll notice, for example, employment income, we have a side by side finding here. So I can review all of these and make my decision. We did see that the user had decided to use Fannie Mae for this loan, so that's great information. But I could continue scrolling through all of the other available GSC findings. An important thing to note is that in your LOS, we give the user a convenient button that once they decide either DU or LPA, they can click Convert Findings to Conditions. We have mapped over 4,000, all 4,000 plus Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac conditions or findings into conditions for you. We partner with you up front so that we're in alignment with the way your condition verbiage works. So that way your users and even your LOs, LOAs, processors, and even your borrowers, when you see them, send them a needs list, aren't seeing some weird verbiage that they're not expecting to see because it's really more GSE focused. So that was our decision analysis. We can either navigate back to our loan details and select our next analysis module up here as you saw before, or over here. But as soon as we finish going through the credit module, I'm going to show you one other way to navigate because we want to help your users work in whatever way is fastest and most efficient for them. So we can see finding source. We could sort any of these filters here if we want. Our subcategories, any open conditions or borrower pairs. And once we're done reviewing the conditions, we can go look at our liabilities. Also, let me point out, we showed you how the decision analysis report was. Same thing with your credit report and all other supporting documents. As the underwriter, if I wanted to see this on another monitor, I can simply click, make it larger, and move it to another monitor where I could fact check the conditions that TOUCHLESS generated to the credit report. But you're going to see, especially in the collateral analysis module, that's going to become unnecessary because we're going to provide all the information. This loan was pretty clear. It's one of our Fannie Mae test case loans. So this one really didn't have much in terms of credit, but you can see there was alimony, child support, or separate maintenance was not listed on the application. So we need to confirm the payments. But this analysis will look at things like address mismatches, employment gaps, gaps in residency. It'll look for things like fraud reporting on the credit report. Do we have consistency in the social security number and the date of birth? So let's go ahead now and click on our liabilities tab to show you some more. So here we can see our liabilities displayed, including other liabilities. Now, we noticed from the condition that this was not a disclosed liability on the IRLA. This is now disclosed here and reported here for the underwriter along with that condition because in reading the assets, TOUCHLESS identified an undisclosed liability for this. So now you don't have to rely on your underwriter to make sure they've read every single line item of every asset analysis or every asset statement. TOUCHLESS is going to help identify things like that for them. So let's say I wanted to mark something as paid off, and I just wanted to say TOUCHLESS demo. I'm just making up something real quick, but I can actually work with excluding and paying off liabilities so that I can manage my DTI if I want, and I can even type comments. Now, if I wanted this to be pushed back to the LOS, I simply click Save. If I were just playing with it, not really meaning to save it, I just wanted to see how it impacts my DTI, I can just move on. I can go on to my next analysis module and not worry about it. And it's not going to save any changes unless I tell it to. So now we're in the collateral analysis module where we can open the appraisal just like we do with other documents and other modules. And then we can go straight into our condition review. If I wanted to sort by any of the available filters, I can. I want to show you this first one. It's a unique one. It has the name of our appraiser and the appraised value. If we would have had a second appraisal done on the file, that's how I navigate to it. I would simply click and then select the other appraisal, and those corresponding conditions would be displayed. This particular example only has the one appraisal, so that makes it a little easier, but just know that your user can access two appraisals very easily when they exist. So I'm going to take a second to show you some of these image analysis anomaly conditions. So touchless isn't just looking at verbiage in documents, it's also reading the images. So this says the kitchen has an anomaly. There's visible structural damage and corrosion on the base of the faucet, possible water intrusion and deterioration. I can open that up and see it right here. No more going back to the appraisal, scrolling through it, finding the images, making sure that that's accurate. I can visually see that right here on my screen. Let's look at a couple more. Interior door damage, significant structural damage to the door frame and wood, visible cracks, splintering. Let's open that up. Okay, yeah, I can definitely see that in the wall and in the door frame, definitely some cracks and damages there. Let's see, we'll go one more. We'll look at this one. Carbon monoxide detector is missing or not properly installed, could be a safety hazard. Let's take a look. Okay, fair. I'll give them that. So again, we've reduced the stare and compare. We've helped the underwriter not overlook something. Not that your underwriters aren't fantastic, but we've all been there where you've got an let's say a loan officer calling for the status on a file of a different loan, or can you rush this file? It can be very easy to overlook something when you're hopping back and forth between files to provide an answer. We'll take a look at one or two more. I want to show you how we do a very similar thing with um, comments in the appraisal. This one says there's a water catchment tank needs replacing. If I were to open that up, I can actually see the comment context from whence that came in the appraisal. So no more guesswork for me. I'm not having to search the appraisal to see where or why the appraiser made that comment. Now I know it's right here for me. And we're looking at all kinds of conditions when we're thinking about the appraisal and your collateral. We're not just looking at the appraisal itself, but the other corresponding documents, your property taxes, your zoning and highest and best use, net and gross adjustments, GLA, and does the property address on the appraisal match USPS? Okay, we're going to hop to one more analysis module real quick, assets, and then we'll go to our showstopper, Maya. So in your asset analysis, you can see all of the account numbers and corresponding information displayed here as they're reported on the ERLA. You may notice that final account looks a little different because there's a hyperlink in the account number and we have some information populated and then the PDF. So that Bank of America bank statement that we saw is now displayed here. Real quick, before we go into that Bank of America account, I just want to show you our other assets and then Gibson grants are displayed here. So let's take a look at that hyperlink because that definitely means there's something. So what I'm seeing here is all of the account transactions from that analysis statement. So that bank statement, now I don't have to go read every line item. Touchless is displaying it here with the dates, the descriptions, your deposits and withdrawals. Uh-oh, it even called out my large deposits that are unidentified or unverified yet. But it has this eligibility saying not eligible. I know that we saw a gift letter in the file for $10,000, and this clearly was indicated as a gift deposit. So I can now say I can get partial credit for this. I have $10,000 and I have the gift letter. I could add any other information I want. Then I can say, I don't have anything for this 20,000. But let's say for this check that's $5,000.08, I have what I need. It's eligible. I'm verified. I'm good. What does all this mean? Well, what it means is we had an ending balance here from our bank statement. This is going to stay displayed here at all times because that is the true ending balance of that statement. But what we're going to see is this verified balance is going to change when we hit save because it's going to reflect the changes we've made. So when I click save, now my verified balance is updated. I don't have to manually track this anymore. No calculator needed. Touchless did the work for me. Okay, I want to save a minute for the showstopper and then our Q&A. So our showstopper is Maya, our mortgage agent. Maya is here for your underwriters to be able to ask questions about the loan file. We do have some suggested questions that can be asked or tasks that we would like Maya to do, like summarize the loan application details. What are the outstanding conditions? What notes and comments were made the last time I reviewed the file? What, if any, red flags are on the file? What are the layers of risk? Or has the borrower demonstrated the willingness and ability to repay their debts? Those are just a handful. You, as the lender, can tell us what condition or what questions or tasks you want us to pre-form in there, but your underwriter can write out any question at any time. And just so you know, we're currently in beta testing Maya with voice. She is working optimally so far, but as you'll notice in a second, when she displays the loan information and current summary, it can get lengthy. So just like me, Maya likes to talk. So we're trying to find a way to say, hey, Maya, quit being a Kayla and slow yourself down. Don't talk to me quite so much. Like maybe at the 30-second mark saying, hey, I can display the rest on the screen or keep talking. What's your preference? So we just want to give you options. But when we ask for a concise summary of where the loan file is and how it stands, she's given you all the information, basic loan details, borrower profile information, employment and income, our housing ratio and REO, our assets and fund to close. Are we short funds? What do we need? What is our property and collateral status? What are the property conditions? Our credit and liabilities, our automated underwriting risk. So she's gone through everything that we would need to know. And if any of you have ever been an underwriter, what you might see here is exactly what I like to do at the end of the file when I'm done underwriting it. Right? It would help if I spelled correctly. I'm not sure she would catch my typo. I haven't tested that yet. Right? The transmittal summary notes. She will actually write your transmittal summary notes for you. So now you can just paste those right back in the LOS. So she's very detailed, very thorough. Our clients who have used Maya are loving her. Again, some of our clients have given us pre-formed questions or tasks to load for them so they don't have to type them. You can do the same. And then one other thing, it's not really Maya related, but I wanted to tell you that some of our users, it kind of surprised me. It's really cool, but I just wouldn't have thought of it as one of the biggest benefits. Some of our users have told us that they absolutely love that Touchless writes back the AKAs to the LOS. So no more when you have those users that have so many different AKAs, no more having to type all those out, making sure you got the comma just right or the spelling just right because they had so many different variations of that AKA. So that's a high level overview. I hope that this has enticed you to want to see more. Reach out to us, let us know. We would love to show you more about Touchless.
Thank you, Kayla. I really appreciate it. All right, we're going to jump to. I had a couple of slides prepared, but we're gonna skip this one and kind of go to a summary and then jump into questions and answers so we have some time for it. Um, this is simply the takeaway story of today's webinar. It's all about quality, all about throughput, all about cost. Quality because it's cleaner upfront. On ingestion, you're pulling data off of documents, placing it in the right location. You're validating that it's needed in that location. If not, it's going out for repair immediately. Throughput. Throughput is all about, can we just give one file one time versus multiple times to rework? Is it possible to make it clean for the underwriter to be able to grab that file and work on it from a decision point of view? The way cost takeout works, it works kind of two different ways. You have the cost takeouts of, in the demo, you saw a lot of little actions here, there, and everywhere that Touchless is doing for you or helping you do. Each of those are moments where cost is being taken out because it's easier to do it, it's faster to do it, or you don't have to do it at all because Touchless is taking care of it. That's one area of kind of cost reduction. The other area of cost reduction is through the fact that AI means better files up front for better files downstream. And as we produce quality files downstream that go into underwriting that are clean and prepared and ready, then that pulls through. Once it pulls through, as underwriters, you're ready for the next decision and the next decision and the next decision, versus the next rework, the next rework, the next rework. That's one of the biggest impacts we see as underwriter productivity to overall cost reduction, the ability to just work faster with clean files. So let's go now to questions and answers. Okay, just a quick little note. If you want to put a question, look for the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom browser. You'll see Q&A down there. We have a few questions that have already been posted up. Let's see. Oh, Kayla, you knocked out some questions while I was
Yeah,
talking.
yeah, I have some that I responded to, but if you want to read those and go through the answers, please.
Or you, or you can. Okay, we got one question. Can you add a non-QM AUS? The thing is absolutely. The whole point there is the way the system is built. I come from a technology background. The way the system is built, it's built in order to be able to receive data from any AUS, whether it's Fannie, Freddie, or a non-QM one. The next one is, how much time do underwriters spend searching through loan files? Kayla, why don't you recapitulate that for the group?
Oh, thanks. So it really depends upon the type of file. So if it's a file that is a multi-unit or, has different types of structures, multiple borrowers, if you got an FHA loan with 5 borrowers on it, a lot of different income, employment, and things to look at, multiple assets, or maybe it's a non-QM, bank statement, DSCR, those can take more time. So it really depends upon the uniqueness of the file. So it can be a lot longer than people realize. And so we want to make sure that, if it has hundreds of pages and underwriters are booked down, that now the AI can help them get to the decision faster. They're not making the decision for them. AI is not going to do that, but it will really help take away some of that stare and compare and the hunting and pecking for the things, as hopefully you got to see in the demo. And that's exactly what TouchLess gives back. It's giving them time back. That 20-minute lookup you saw, to answer something that Maya can answer in a few seconds. That's the work we're eliminating with AI in the underwriting space.
Right. Makes sense. Here's one question, and I'll take a stab at it. Is how do lenders improve scalability during fluctuating volume cycles? So this is all about flexibility. As we've experienced just recently, all of us in industry, that we went through a boom and then we went through a bust. And we saw a ton of hiring, and we saw very large teams, and then we saw very large layoffs just after that. That all boiled down to flexibility and the resilience of the operating system and the operating companies. With AI and with touchless, you're able to absorb more work more gracefully because you can do more with the people you have. And you can also scale more gradually because of the productivity of the system. So that gives you some buffer to be able to handle the good times, and also gives you some buffer to be able to relax during the bad times. Is that technology allows you to have a resilient scale up, scale down versus a stair step that comes when you're hiring people. Okay, one more question, and this will be our last question. How can technology better support underwriters rather than replace them? Kayla, what do you think?
I think it can help underwriters by, again, I hate saying stare and compare, but it is. It's those redundant administrative tasks that AI can do and do well and prove to the underwriters. I've watched several underwriters who are coming onto touchless. I like to go sit with them when they're starting their journey into touchless, then follow up with them later. I like to sit by them side by side, let them build that muscle memory as they're going through a file. But what I find is their first couple files, they still want to do everything manually, read every document top to bottom, type out their conditions. By the time they get to their third file, they see that touchless is generating the exact same conditions they did. Matter of fact, sometimes touchless catches a few things they might would have missed because of distractions and things that happen because we're human. AI can do those things and give the underwriter time back because now they can just review the conditions, make sure that they're exactly what they need. Does whatever was provided satisfy that condition? Clear it and move on. So the underwriter gets to focus their time on their highest and best use. They are the true decision maker. They know the credit profile. They get to make that decision. So AI is empowering them, not taking away their role.
Thanks, Kayla. Well, this is time. I want to respect all of us in our busy days that we have. I really want to thank you for joining us today. I've gone to I don't know, a conference every other week for the past couple months. And these have been the same questions that was all on our, that are on all of our minds collectively. Is how does AI really change our lives? How does it really deliver value? What's important and what's not important? And what you saw today is you saw moments in a typical production lifecycle that are enabled through AI, enabled through a wonderful platform called Touchless, and our ability to drive value out of that. And it all comes down to quality and throughput and cost. So thank you for your time today. We really appreciate it. And look forward to the wrap up email that we'll send out. And there's a couple of questions we didn't get to, so we'll address them in the email. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Really appreciate you
everybody.
guys. Okay. Have a great day.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.